So we'll see what are the 10 strategies to automate. Okay, this is clear, right? What we mean by USA principle: understand, simplify, and automate. Right? That's a sequential process. Okay, doubts? Shall we move forward? Okay, so you see the 10 strategies for automation and process improvement. The first thing is what basically the strategies will do, right, is it will help us for automating better. Okay, how can we better achieve automation and improve the process, right? That's what we are going to do. We are going to automate the process so that we can improve it. Process improvement. So first thing is specialization of operations. So what it does is it involves the use of special purpose equipment designed to perform one operation with the greatest possible efficiency. Okay, one special purpose equipment, if you can have, okay, that is solely designed to perform that one operation. Okay, so because it will do it efficiently, right? Not just in terms of time, that you'll save the time, because you need not have changeover time, right? Delays you'll not have. So solely dedicated for that. So if you can have that, you can uh, basically specializing of operations. How you're specializing the operations using special purpose equipment. Okay, so that's one thing. Another thing is combined operations. So if involves reducing the number of distinct operations. You see, if you can combine different operations, okay, that will be, we saw, right? Instead of having 3 4 operations, if you can take it down to 1 or 2, right? So basically you are trying to have it on a single machine, for example. So involve reducing the number of distinct operations, reduction of machines or workstations through which the part must be routed. Or it could be that the part that you are sending it to, I mean the part that you in consideration is required to be sent to different workstations. If you can reduce the number of workstations through which the part has to go, then even that also saves time, right? So reduction of machines or workstations through which the part must be routed to is another thing that you can do, accomplished by performing more than one operation at a given machine. As I told you, right? Like for example, drilling and boring. If it can be done in one machine, so thereby reducing the number of separate machines needed, which in turn reduces setup time. Two different machines will require two different setup times, so your non-productive time will increase. So we want to minimize the non-productive time and have as much as want to have as much productive time as possible, that no machine is idle and the work pieces are not lying uh, as work in process, okay, or in that what do you call, conveyor machines, etc., conveyor systems. So that is comes under your combined operations. Another thing is simultaneous operations, simultaneously performing the operations that are combined at workstation. Logical extension of the combined operation. Yes, you see, this simultaneous operations is an extension of combined operations. Okay, logical extension. How? You're simultaneously trying to perform the operations that are combined at one workstation. So as for example, uh, that so if you can simultaneously perform those combined operations, that is why we are calling it an extension, right? So once you have combined the operations, can you simultaneously do that, right? Simultaneously performing the operations that are combined at one workstation. Two or more processing or assembly operations are being performed simultaneously on the same work part. So, for example, uh, there is a machine that a cell basically uh, that has two tools that can process it, that it can use at the same time. So if we can use those two tools at the same time on a given workpiece, then that will save time, right? Instead of having to do it one after the other, we're trying to do it simultaneously. Okay, so that's what we mean by simultaneous operation, right? As the name suggests. Clear, right? Shall I move on to the next one? Okay, now the fourth one is integration of operations. Link several workstations together into a single integrated mechanism, right? And how do you do that? Using automated work handling devices to transfer parts between stations. So when you're trying to link different workstations, you have to have an automated work handling, I'm sorry, what do you call a part handling system, right? So you'll also use work handling devices to transfer parts between stations. So we are trying to, earlier we are trying to simultaneously do it. Now we are trying to integrate the different operations. How? Linking several different workstations into a single integrated mechanism. So that has to have a transfer system, right? So that we can have that workpiece into from one workstation to the next, right? So what it does is it reduces the number of separate machines through which the product must be scheduled with more than one workstation. So separate machines are not required, right? So, so the scheduling of the product that we are doing can be done better. So several parts can be processed simultaneously, increased overall output of the system. So when we are able to do it simultaneously with processing of that, that will lead to an increased overall output of the system, right? The output that we're getting, the number of products, for example, right? So that will increase. Another thing is your increased flexibility. Involves the use of flexible automation concepts, right? So we saw, right, the type of automation, one type of automation was flexible automation. So the concepts of flexible automation, if we want to apply that, that will lead to increased flexibility, right? How? We'll see. It attempts to achieve maximum utilization of equipment for job shop and medium volume situations by using the same equipment for a variety of parts of product. So we are calling it flexible because it is able to handle different product configurations, right? Variety is mid variety. We saw that in the graph. The variety is mid variety, not as high as your hard automation, not as low as your programmable automation. So flexibility, if you can increase the flexibility by applying the flexible automation concepts, then even that helps to uh, what do you call, better automate the process. What are the prime objectives in this? Yeah, you want to reduce the setup time and programming time also for the production machine, lower manufact, and that will lead to lower manufacturing lead time and less work in process. You see, in that flexible manufacturing system we saw, we were saying that on that work transfer system, right? On that work transfer system, there were workpieces and they were coded, and the machines were taking in the workpiece as per the code, okay, as and when required. If it is required that particular workpiece is to be sent to machine one as per the program of instructions, it will take that, change the program, because it has different programs written, right? So that flexibility is there, right? So when we say flexible automation concepts, we mean to apply the flexible automation itself. So that will lead to reduced setup, we saw, because there's no changeover time required. Programming time is also not is also reduced for the production machine. So that will lead to lower manufacturing lead time and less working process. So if you can do it with you see, these are connected, right? Setup time is reduced, manufacturing lead time will also be reduced, because you are able to finish the product faster, right? Both processing, assembly, okay, it applies to all of that. So that will decrease the product lead time, okay, manufacturing lead time, to be able to deliver the product, isn't it? That's what we mean by lead time. that how much time is required for a product to be produced and shipped. Okay, completed product. So also work in process will be reduced because you don't have much components lying because of delays, right? So increase flexibility. Doubts regarding that? No. Okay. And then you have the next one is improve material handling and storage. So what we are trying to do here is we are trying to reduce the non-productive time with the use of automated material handling and storage system. So if it was manual, there'd be more time required, right? So automated material handling and storage system, if you can employ, we'll see this is a dedicated topic in your next unit, how we are able to material handle with the help of automated material handling and storage system. Okay, so that reduces the non-productive time. So and what are the typical benefits? Reduce work in process, right? Because we are able to do it automatically, automated material handling, shorter manufacturing lead times again. So these are related, right? Need not to explain. So that's how we are able to improve the material handling and storage. So material handling and storage will also have an effect on the automation, the what do you call, the optimized automation that we want to do. Okay, this material handling will also have an effect because you see material handling will take up a significant portion in the manufacturing. Okay, because the part has to be sent to different workstations, so has to have a material handling system that is efficient. If you can automate that, well and good, right? That'll save time and also errors will be minimized, right? Another thing is online inspection. So you see, traditionally what we do is, I told you, right, there is inspection. Traditionally what we used to do was there was inspection right after the product is finished. There were 10 steps required, 10 operations required for a product to be manufactured. Only after the 10 operations are done, we will inspect the product, right? That's a traditional method. So as opposed to that, what we are doing is we are doing inspection online, right? Meaning right after the process is done or as the process is being done, we are monitoring with the help of sensors, right, as to whether what, sorry, so what was desired has been achieved or not. Okay, we'll check that. So that is done after each operation. And why is this important? Because if, for example, after the third step we find that the product is not as per design specifications, we can either have it redone, okay, so that it comes on to the uh, to the design specifications, or we can scrap it, no longer needed, so that the next 7 process that we're going to done, we will not be done, right? We'll not do that because we have known that this product is now a defective product. After the third step we have known that the design specifications are not what we wanted. So online inspection is the will give us the advantage to do that. So as the product is being made, we are trying to inspect. So what will that do? It will reduce the scrap and brings the overall quality of the product closer to the nominal specifications intended by the designer. What all the designer wanted, the surface roughness, the size and dimensions. So we are trying to bring it to that level. Okay, and that will reduce the scrap, isn't it? I told you, if it is found after 10 steps that after third step itself it was a scrap, then no need of that 7 steps. So that's how we are able to reduce the scrap and also save the production time, isn't it? Clear, right? Online inspection. Okay. Okay, then we'll see these next three, okay, the last three strategies in the next class, hopefully. Okay. If there are any doubts, you can ask. Otherwise, we'll end the class. Okay, then no doubts. Then we'll know. Okay, again. So we'll end the class. Thank you.